let's go to the character overview. So I am a red guard on the Templar. Personally, I think red guard is the best choice because it gives the best sustain, it gives more stamina and more stam recovery, as well as returns stamina every 5 seconds from melee attacks, which is really nice. You can of course make other races work, like Auric or Khajiit. Khajiit would be like my second choice. Sustain on the Templar is really nice, so you do not need any like recovery food or need to do any heavy attacks. They changed some things about sustain, and yeah, personally still I'd stick to red guard because I just like the mix of sustain and damage from the race. We have all points into stamina. We use the Lava Moonstone for extra pen, max health, max stamina food, and that's pretty much it for the character overview. Gear wise, something changed. Like not really big change. You were also like able to play that set combination the last 2 patches. However, what changed is that we do not use the Ravager set anymore. Ravager procs from melee damage. They fixed the bug with Reliquin that the harmful winds counted as melee damage. So from like biting jabs, every damage tick can proc Ravager. So Ravager might still be an option in trash fights. However, in all my tests, I got like an average uptime around like 40%, which is just too low. Like it underperformed severely, so I had to drop the Ravager set. Maybe in trials, if you have multiple enemies and like in a boss fight, like adds, it will be better. But in the like pure solo test or just like one target test, Ravager just underperformed. If you have a good uptime, that might be like you might be a bit lucky. You need to like do several tests. I did a ton of tests, and Ravager just like on average, like I said, was around 40%. Sometimes even like as low as 33-35% uptime. That was pretty bad. So we replaced Ravager with the Advanced Yukita set. Most of the players out there should already have it. You can get it in Hellra. I used to infuse them on Bloodthirsty with 2 infused daggers, 1 poison damage glove, and on this one I have Absorb Stam. Personally, I think that's a little bit overkill, so I just use Disease Damage Glove. I did that in the DPS test, that's why DPS was a little bit higher. Sustain was still fine. I think I only like casted the Restoring Focus 2 times, like at the start and somewhere mid-fight. If you have more issues with sustain, you can cast it more often, of course. And if you have like a lot of issues with the sustain, you can use an Absorb Stamina Glyph like I have here. But I switch the gear between the characters all the time, then I do not have a disease damage glyph here, so I wasn't able to re-enchant it. So we use this set to infuse 1 Bloodthirsty. The reason why we use to infuse on Bloodthirsty is pretty simple. We do not have an execute. So usually there's a lot of Nightblades in the group, and by using 2 infused, we get faster from 100% to 25%. That way, because Nightblades usually use 3 Bloodthirsty, that way they get quicker to execute, where they can make use of their jewelry traits of their Bloodthirsty, and then DPS goes up for the Nightblades. So by using infused, we will still have around the same DPS. Actually, I had the best results with 2 infused and Bloodthirsty, to be honest, but we still should have the same DPS as with 3 Bloodthirsty, but improve the DPS for our Nightblade teammates, because they have an execute, and in execute their DPS will pick up by a lot. So by getting them sooner into execute, their DPS will go up, and also because we use 2 infused instead of Bloodthirsty, execute will be a little bit longer for them, and they can use the execute a bit more often. Total fight time should go down, and their DPS should go up. That's what I experienced. We tried it out on different stem classes, and Nightblades all of a sudden, because we ran infused on the other classes, went up by quite a lot. That's really nice. That's the trait combination that I recommend. You can obviously go 3 Bloodthirsty if you want to. If you only have like 1 set of Advanced Yukita jewelry pieces, you can use all 3 Bloodthirsty and it's still fine. Reliquin, perfect version. You can use a non-perfect version. You will just not have the extra stamina from the 5-piece bonus, from the first 5-piece bonus, but it's still fine. Because it does not count as melee damage anymore, we cannot use the Celine monster set. We just go with Veladreth now. The weapon damage from the 1-piece set is really nice because we get 6% more weapon damage from the Templar passives. You can of course also use Storm Fist if you have some sustain issues, but I'd only use that in trash. Like, sustain is so nice on a Templar that I just wouldn't use anything else than Veladreth in boss fights. On the back bar we use a Maelstrom Bow with the Berserker Glyph, which gets activated by Endless Hail and Poison Injection. So that's pretty cool. We can get really great uptimes, like real close to 100%. And that's pretty much it for the gear. Like, you can replace Veladreth, not Veladreth, you can replace Reliquin with Vicious Ophidian, for example. You can also just use Automaton if you only want like have access to dungeon sets, or like cannot run the like a lot of Cracklorn trials. You can run Automaton and combine with Hunting's Rage. They're like also perks. Personally, I just, if you have Somerset, farm the normal Reliquin set because it's easier to get. For skills, so we use Biting Jabs as our main spammable, obviously. Then we have Blood Craze. Rending Slashes is just as good. Like, the Rending Slashes will be a tiny bit more DPS, like a couple hundred more. Difference is very minimal. I just didn't level Rending Slashes on this character. I don't know why, to be honest, but I just didn't do it. So I have Blood Craze here. Blazing Spear got changed. It deals a ton more DPS. Now I think like they increased the damage by over 60% on the base morph already, and then increased additional damage on Blazing Spear. However, it scales off of Magicka, spell damage and spell crit, but we use it for the Burning Light passive. So every 0.5 seconds we have a 25% chance to activate this passive here, and each target that we hit has an individual cooldown. So it's really cool. We get a lot of damage from Burning Light now, 5.8k, physical damage from Biting Jabs and Blazing Spear. This is AoE, so a lot of damage. That's really cool. Then Rearming Trap for Minor Force, Power of the Light, that's why we play Templar, for Minor Breach, Minor Fracture, and then Flawless Dawnbreaker for the extra weapon damage. On the back bar we use Ballista. That's the ultimate that will give us the most damage. Then we have Restoring Focus. So that's the change for sustain. We get back 240 stamina every 1 second. That's really, really nice. We also gain, of course, more resistances, so that makes us more tanky. But I use that when my stamina drops like to around 40%. I see that my potion is not about to come up, so I just go with Restoring Focus. Then Razor Card drops. We have Sun Shield here. I use Sun Shield because I need it for the Piercing Spear passive for the extra crit damage. You can just go Blazing Spear on the back bar too if you want to. I just like Sun Shield because in some situations a shield might not be too bad. Then Poison Injection and Endless Hail for our Maelstrom Bow. For the CP, so for green, what I always keep is the 75 with the Mooncarve. I usually don't do heavy attacks, so I can take points out of here. It's completely up to you how you distribute your points into Shadow Ward, Tumbling, Tenacity, Warlord, and Sprinter. Usually I need some points into Sprinter because we sprint a lot between trash groups in trials. So it's like up to you and up to the content that you play. Same goes for the Red Tree. This is just like a standard CP distribution, not specialized for any trial. So you need to adjust that to the trial that you play. Just hit pause if you want to see how I distributed them here, but it's not really important. I don't recommend to use it that way for any trial. On the blue tree, important for damage, we have 23 into piercing. So they took away 100 base penetration. So the absolute minimum amount of CP that you need to reach the 18,200 pen cap, like it's not really a cap, but the value that you want to reach. That's the resistance that bosses and mobs have in trials and dungeons, is 17 points now. It used to be 16, but they took away the base penetration, like I said, so you want at least 17. I prefer to have some more points into pen because having more pen makes trash fights shorter. Not every ad in a trash fight can get debuffed by Alkosh, Turtle Pack, Infuse Crusher, and Minor Breach, Minor Fracture. So we need some more points into here. Like I like to put more points into here. There are 64 into Mighty, 56 Precise Strikes, 52 into Thaumaturge, 66 into Master Arms, and 9 into Physical Weapon Expert for the Butcher passive. And that's pretty much it for the build. If you have any further questions, feel free to ask them in the comment section, and if you do not want to miss any more ESO content, hit the sub button. Also hit the like button if you liked the video, and I hope you tune in next time too. So until then, bye bye.